It's Clive Roxinger here. Got some interesting issues to talk about with 3D printing. I've been having a lot of trouble with bits breaking off these models, and I realised that a lot of it has to do with the passing of where it lays the plastic. If you look at that box there, if you look at the pattern of why it's laid down the plastic, it's a crosshatch. So what you have to do is that with some parts, you have to be aware of the fact that when I printed this out, I printed it vertical like that, and so what it's doing is it's laying the plastic across this way, and see, there's no strength to it. So in actual fact, and I avoided it to start with, you've actually got to print them like this sort of thing. You have to print it like that. And they do it in America, but they probably don't realise why. All they probably know is if you don't do it that way, it mucks up. But the fact is that the angle that it lays down the plastic, you're almost better off putting it on an angle like that, really weird, because it's the cross-hatching of the plastic. So that's why it's reasonably strong. The other one just literally broke off. Now I don't know whether that one, the ones on this side have broken off. These ones here were. Another one was I got a new slicer, and I don't know, I was having trouble with the table dimensions. It said that was over the size of the table, and I printed this one. I don't even know why I printed it that big, which is bigger than I thought it could print it. So you're always wrestling with size. Another thing was when with collections, if you make a collection for an item, what I found was it was doing, What it was doing, it was when I grouped it into a collection and 3D printed it, the bits were coming off where it wasn't actually joining the things together. It was breaking them apart. See how the rod's not actually melded into it. When you join a part in Blender, what it does, it makes it one. But when you group it into a collection, the program can't handle it, and it'll start making all sorts of errors. So you've got to break it out of the collection to print it out. Another one was when you print off the table, and that was what was being causing this, is I'd made it too big and it was going off the end of the table. So yeah, little quirky problems. Another thing that I've encountered too, which I'm starting to get a fair, well, not so fair, but I've had it a few times, is where it started to lift. Now I thought I was Mr. Genius boy, because what I do is I put a millimetre under that. I'll lift it up 1 millimetre so it's easy to peel off the base. Because when I first got the 3D printer, I couldn't get things off the base. I just about had a hammer on it trying to get the thing off the base. And so what I do is I'd lift it up vertically and it'd just come out all nice. But what I'm finding now is that now I'm into it a fair bit, you really want to not put that distance in when you print the model out, because once the table gets a little bit uneven and a bit worn, you'll find that it's easy to get the models off. But when it's brand new, if it's dead flat, it's really hard to get the models off. So you have to start with. But now that I've been doing it for a while, another thing is I probably need to make it a bit thicker, and I may need to sort of like put things to hold it down, where it actually 3D print actually something like that, so that it's got more things holding it down, so it's not going to lift. Lifting is basically due when it gets hot, and it's a fairly thin. It was a 5-hour print to print that out. It's fantastic because I bought a set of scales and it didn't have a top on it, so I made one up. But as you can see, see how it's warped, and what's happened is it's lifted when I was printing. So yeah, these are little issues that you learn along the way. They keep updating the slicer all the time, and then of course you've got to learn the new way that they've set it up, and it's good that they do that, but it's always a bit of a learning curve. You've got to continue learning with this stuff, and that's the very nature of the beast. I love this design, it's really going nice. I did have one that was actually finished there and it all broke apart. That's one that I printed out. But see, I that wrong with that. Now, which one of those? There it is, look. There it says. See how that just broke off? And see how it's a clean break? That's because when it laid the filament down, it's going this way. So what you really need to do is have it on an angle like that, and then it cross hatches the filament, and it makes it strong. And then this one here, we probably find here. See, oh no, see that's another one. This one here, that's a lot stronger. That one there, it's broken off on this side. See how it's a clean break? Yeah. So these are things that you've got to learn. And some designs may be difficult to print on the 3D printing. You have to screw them to glue them together and all this sort of thing. This design is pretty complicated, but I like it. It's a nice design, but it's yeah, I'm having me little difficulties with it, and I've been wrestling with it a bit. I've been having a few peculiar problems with it, but you just persevere with it, you get it solved. You got to continue to learn with new technology. That's the nature of the beast. So yeah, and when you're making flat things like that, you have problems when it gets. I don't know that it's too. I might even have the. You know what? I was putting a space under the thing to make it easier to peel off. But as your machine gets a little bit older, you can remove that and just have it sitting flat on the base. It's only a millimetre, but you know, once it lifts, it makes a mess of it. 5-hour print down the drain. And I didn't center the holes properly, so what I'll do next time is put a slot in there so it allows for a bit of to and fro between the holes. It's very hard to center it with Blender. There are techniques you can use, and there are probably settings in there to do it, but I don't know how to do that yet. But this is a good set of scales. I like this. It's reasonably accurate. It seems to come back to the same place most of the time. You've got to keep calibrating it all the time. It's got a calibration needle there. So yeah, it's a nice set of scales. It goes up to 5 kilo, which is about 11 pound. That's real handy for engineering. And I put it on my foot scales that I stand on when you weigh yourself. That's the other ones I use if it's heavier than that. And that goes up to 200 pound or something. So, yeah, Clive Roxer and Clive Roxinger over and out.